right, there is a lot going on in this problem here. We were talking about Pythagorean theorem in solids as well as space diagonals in this worksheet. So I am going to take a look at this first problem. We are looking at finding the volume of two composite shapes. Now, I did some of the work here just because it is going to take a little bit of time for me to do this. So I'll kind of walk you through the steps. We're looking to calculate the volume of both these shapes. So we have a cylinder on the top of a triangular prism down here on the bottom. Now, we have to look at what the volume of a cylinder is. So we take pi times radius squared times our height. Now we do see an arrow pointing to this one piece right here. So if you look at that really closely, move that over here, you can see a little bit better that that is pointing only to that side over there. So that is 7 inches, and so that is our radius. So we're going to plug in the radius here, 7 squared. And then we're going to multiply it times our height, which in this case we have, as you can see right here, 14. And then we multiply that times pi. Now we are asked to do the nearest tenth. And so when I multiply 7 times 7 times 14 times the pi button on the calculator, we're going to round that answer off to 2,155.1. And that is inches cubed. And then I have to look at this triangular prism. So I did some of this work out. So the triangular prism is your base of the triangle, which is half the area, with the area's base. Base times height times 1/2, or just divided by 2. It doesn't really make a difference. We find the area just at the bottom, which is the triangle's area. And then we're going to multiply it times the height, which is the rectangular piece. So when I'm looking at this triangular piece, you can see up here that you see the right angle symbol right here. So this means that because I have that this parallel piece right below it is the exact same thing. Now we do have the leg of 20, but we don't have this leg right here. And we do have the hypotenuse here. So we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem here. So you can see a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm plugging in just one of my legs. I'm just plugging it in for a. It's not really going to make a difference at the moment. We do need to figure out what the other piece is first before we can determine, if it is actually the a squared or the b squared, because a squared is typically your smaller side. And then we know what our hypotenuse is, which is 25, and we're just plugging that in and solving. 20 squared is 400. 25 squared is 625. Now, when we square a hypotenuse and a leg, after we square those numbers, we then subtract the leg from the hypotenuse. So 625 minus 400. We're left with 225, and then we have to get the b squared by itself by square rooting both sides in order to get that square out of there. So when I square root both sides, you're left with b equaling the square root of 225, and that is b equaling 15. So now I know that it's actually really my a side, but that's okay. So this means that this piece is 15 over here, if you can look over and see that. And so now we know that when we go do the equations, we're just going to plug into this equation back up here with what we have. So our base times our height is 15 times 20, and that's just for the triangular piece. And then we're going to cut that answer in half, and then we're going to multiply it times the height of this triangular prism, which is 14 right here, as you can see right there. So that is the height of that piece. So when I go ahead and I do that, 15 times 20, we'll do that calculation first, and then we're going to get 300. We'll divide that by 2, and we get 150. And then we're going to finally multiply that by the height, which is 14, and we get a total volume on that shape of 2,100 inches cubed. So now I have the triangular base right here. I have the volume of the cylinder piece. And now I'm just going to add those two numbers together to get our total volume all together, which is a volume of approximately 4255, and then it's going to be 0.1. So 4,255.1 inches cubed. And that is our final total for this question. If you'd like more questions like this, find them on my YouTube channel, my TikTok, and my Instagram at YouWantAlgebra. These are in the playlist of Pythagorean theorem.